Good afternoon.
And welcome.
Intimate ZVX with Stoic here, coming back at you after 7 months of hiatus.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
That's been a while.
I was happy. I posted my first comment in years at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I got replies. It felt good.
And a lot's changed since then.
Yeah, Shawn's getting married, and I had a sex change. What?
I was gonna say David came out of the closet finally.
Yeah, we decided, since female presence is such a huge impact to esports, by bringing into effect Intimate ZvX female presence will increase our viewership. Right, Shawn?
So he did it for you guys.
So we've brought special guest Julia Child.
Alright. Well, song in the background is Ho Hey by the Lumineers. Let me just cut that out there. We'll get into this game. Game 1 we have...
Wait,
David, who do we got? What's that?
Yet. Don't we introduce ourselves? That's how
No.
it's done. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I forgot.
This is Stoic Nouveau.
And he is Stoic Regret.
There you go. See? Now they know. Or else they'll watch this video and go, who the fuck are these two losers? Now they know.
Yep,
Okay.
so,
Yeah, so I haven't played a game of HOTS, guys. Like,
he's
on
gonna
ladder.
play in the summer, but until then we can do,
Yeah.
you know,
so
we can
we
do
don't get
lots.
to use the new replay viewership thingy-majig. We don't get to show you sound because we have to mute the casters. Quality's gonna suck. We're gonna have to sync because we're gonna be desynced constantly. But suck it up. Yeah.
Alright, well, why don't we get into this game?
Oh yeah, just in case we're breaking any laws by showing these MLG VODs on YouTube.
We're not, they're
My
on fucking
response.
YouTube. They're on YouTube.
Yeah, but...
And we're not selling, we're
even
not
if you
monetized. We're not
Yeah, but even if
monetized.
you show a music video on YouTube of a YouTube clip, you still have to write some bullshit like...
No, that's only if you're
Fine.
monetized. We're
You
not
sure?
selling anything, yeah, I'm positive. That's why I get away with all those fucking songs. No one says shit to me. If they do...
Until they find out we actually do monetize it.
Alright, let's get in here.
Okay, so
I'm
make
in
sure you
game.
blow it up. Make sure you're at 1080p.
I'm at 1080p.
When we sync, we'll sync with the YouTube player. So
Okay.
biased.
You do the countdown.
You're at 57 seconds.
41 on game time.
Oh yeah, Intimate ZvX patented time.
Okay.
All right, on one. 3, 2, 1. Oh my God, they just went out of game. What is this?
Oh.
So as you can see here, this setup is.
My spacebar didn't work, so what are you at?
Let's talk about the what?
Yeah, I tried to press spacebar. I tried to get fancy.
I'm pausing at 110.
Okay. I'll pause at 110.
Tried to get.
I tried to get fancy and then it didn't work. Okay, I'm at 111. Because I tried to get fancy again.
Okay, you do the countdown.
3, on play. 3, 2, 1, play.
Huzzah! Okay.
Okay, so we got In Control muted. I don't know who the second caster is, I don't care.
Probably day 9. Thank God they're muted. Oh no! Fan clash.
So we've got Life versus Last in a game in a best of 5 series in game 5, and this was a fucking sick game.
Yeah, this was my favorite game of Heart of the Swarm, so that's why we're doing it. So, suck it up. Anyways, basically in this game, Last goes for a mech build. And the reason why I like this game is Life handles it the way I used to handle it in Wings of Liberty, which is the absolute worst way to handle it by going Roach Muta, but it worked, so haha!
Well, he scouts the proxy right away too. That's always good.
But don't worry, that actually doesn't ruin the game. Life kind of loses, and then wins, and then loses, and then comes back and wins again.
Oh yeah, that was this game.
Yeah. Oh,
My
headshot.
God, I hate when they do that. That fucking freaks me right out. The close zoom in on a player's acne, like Jesus Christ.
It would have been cool if there were thousands of people behind him, but there's like 7 people
Yeah,
watching
I
fast.
know.
It's like great. He's just top 5 Terran in the world. No big deal.
So not much to talk about in the early game.
No. Oh, we can talk about Heart of the Swarm in general. My opinion.
Well, let's talk
game
about
has not
ZvT.
changed.
Let's talk about ZvT a little bit, since that's
Yeah,
what
the
we're
game, in concept, conceptually, did not change. The same type of strategies and advantages work, and the same type of advantages give you leads that you have to keep in the same manner as in Wings of Liberty. The biggest difference in ZvT would obviously be the Widow Mine, but that's only the biggest difference.
Oh, I think the biggest difference is the medevac speed.
Yeah,
isn't
I
it?
was just gonna say, The biggest difference is medevac speed. Two things that it does, not just the speed itself. So one is because of the speed, medevac timings are a little bit earlier, which kind of throws the Zergs off from Wings of Liberty, where you become accustomed to building spores and spines at the latest possible time, etc.
Especially on the big maps.
Oh yeah, exactly. Or if you see the medevac coming when you have a lot of speedlings and banelings, usually they get there in time. Now, not so much, so you have to give it a little bit more leeway. And the other thing that doesn't so much affect ZvT, it really affects TVP, is even though obviously medevac boost doesn't increase the speed in which you drop, it increases the speed in which they can get to the location that they are going to drop. So inadvertently, it actually makes the drop faster. So, for example, if you had like 4 stalkers on a ledge against 2 medevacs, the pro player as Terran initially in Wings of Liberty would see that and back away, because by the time you go on top of the 4 stalkers, you'll get 2 whole volleys of all 4 stalkers. But if you have boost and you basically kamikaze onto them, they only hit you once because you get there twice as fast. So,
maybe like one of the stalkers would hit twice.
Exactly. So it really limits the threat of losing the medevac and going for pushes when you know that whatever's in the medevac is stronger than the ground that is trying to defend against it, and now you can get there faster and unload. So
do you think that's just a meta game that has to work itself out? Or
I think it's fine.
Do you think?
I think
don't
Terran
think it's
is
imbalanced
obviously the
yet.
strongest race. Protoss is ridiculously weak. Zerg's about in the middle, but
I just think the tools that Terran got were tools that will allow their already existing styles to just improve, whereas Zerg and Protoss are forced to change their style in that matchup a little bit.
all right. So okay, the first thing Life does here is he did go 3-hatch in pool to counteract the CC first that he did scout with his drone. The drone didn't really harass much.
He lost the
I
drone.
think it
too.
died. Yeah,
Yeah, he lost
actually
it.
died. But one thing to note, just the same as Wings of Liberty, make sure you go 1 gas when you open 3 hatch like this. No gas builds are still okay in this matchup, but if you go 3 hatch before pool, you absolutely must get speed as soon as possible. You can't be too greedy. I mean, like hypothetically, if you went mass queens with no gas opening with 3 hatch before pool, you'd probably hit 70 drones at like the 6-minute mark, but without speed, there's absolutely no way you're going to defend against anything that attacks your second base, and then your third base, and then your second base, and then your third base, and then your first base, and then you're dead. So that is what Life does. I do like it how Life plays a little bit more aggressively. He never really takes guys off gas. But the interesting thing about that I found is because of the numbers on the command centers and the hatcheries that tell you how many workers are on there, players are starting to realize that you don't really need to oversaturate all the time. Like, even pro players, they used to play a lot by feel, so they used to say, this feels about right. I have about 13 or 15 workers, so I need to do another round of drones to saturate it. But now they can easily see and go, oh, 13, that means I only need 3 more workers, and I'm basically saturated, so maybe I don't need to pull off gas. Maybe I can just leave 13 and wait for the 3 to build. So in terms of economics, I like these numbers. They kind of force you to think of the game in terms of economy, which we always stress in our Intimate ZVX VODs. Economy, economy, economy is everything. It has nothing to do with unit composition because it's all based on economy. So instead of looking at things as what units to build, look at it as where do I deposit my gas and where do I deposit my minerals. And oh my god, it's last. Look at him. He's pretty fast, huh? Alright, so he is opening 1-1, very, very standard. And notice how late Life is actually teching in this game. He teched at about, I think it was 8:45. And see, initially what I thought is,
Yeah, he took his layer around 8:40.
in every matchup that Zerg plays, having a later tech is fine because you can upgrade speed on your Overlord and use that as a scout. But I've never seen anyone do it at MLG, so I don't know. Anyways, here
You
comes
mean utilize it before layer?
Yeah, because usually the only reason why delaying tech is bad is because you don't really have scouting information, especially because the Overseer is so important. But, I don't know, can't you just upgrade speed? I don't know.
You can upgrade Overlord speed early. It's
Exactly,
kind of...
so you can tech at 9 minutes and have a full scout.
Nobody's
Anyways,
fully
this
used
is
it yet.
this is just Life being incredibly awesome. You're not really supposed to hold this off because you see how his Baneling Nest is so late? There's
Yeah.
no reason for his Baneling Nest to have been this late. I mean, he is going to end up going Roaches because he does know his opponent is going mech, but even if this wasn't full mech and he's just doing a huge Blue Flame Hellion push, there's no reason not to build 2 Banelings with a little bit of an early Baneling Nest. I mean, look at his economy. He has ridiculous saturation. 92 supply after losing all of this with enough minerals and gas to afford anything. So
This is
not
sick
having
micro.
this is kind of silly, but yeah, amazing micro. I think the real reason why Last doesn't completely kill Life here is because he kind of feels like there should be something behind the wall. Like if you really notice, if you rewind this fight, I've watched it over and over again. He doesn't actually see beyond the evolution chambers until he goes in now. So
Yeah.
he had no way of knowing if there were more queens or two banelings there. Anyways, he kills a lot. And this is where Life takes a big deficit. He loses a shit ton of workers. Oh my god, look at the supplies. 78 to 94.
They're going to show 18 workers killed.
Yeah. 19. You were wrong. Are you ahead of me already?
No.
What's
No.
your YouTube time?
I don't know my YouTube time, my game time. 40, 41, 42,
Oh,
43.
perfect.
Yeah, we
Awesome.
shouldn't get ahead of each other anymore because of the awesome replay function, but this we're just watching YouTube videos, so it should be
So
real time.
33 workers to 58. So obviously Life is at a deficit here. And most players who will open Roach because they sense that the Terran player is going mech will... Well, in the old days it would be straight to infest or Broodlord. But in the new days, you can still put down the infestation pit and just build swarm hosts and then go to tier 3. It works basically the same way. So there's really no change. Your goal should be tier 3. But I think Life makes this decision soon to place down the Spire, which is what I used to like to do in Wings of Liberty. But I think he only does it in this game because he knows that he lost so many workers that it's better to turn the game into this really, really weird, battle where he doesn't really have an army that can kill mech, but he can annoy the shit out of the mech player until he stabilizes, maybe takes a fourth. So that's basically what
I was just going to ask you, how do you play from this far behind? Like, and that's your answer, basically.
Yeah, I do like mutas. I would have said Muta would be the right choice at this deficit in Wings of Liberty, and now mutas have a little bit of a buff. I'd definitely go that route as well. Especially because Tier 2 of Zerg has become a lot stronger. There are a lot of ways you can continue to build Tier 2 units and continue to last, because that's kind of the point of Zerg in both games. The longer you stay on Tier 2, it's really just so that you won't die, so you can get a stronger unit composition. Obviously, if you win with Tier 2, that's great, but if you don't, the benefits of going Tier 2 are just the units are cheaper, they cost less gas, and therefore you can afford to continue to expand. And eventually, if you hit that optimal number of expansions with like 80 drones, 4, 5, etc. bases, then it doesn't matter how late you go into Tier 3. It would be the same thing as going to Tier 3 at 20 minutes as it would be to go to Tier 3 at 45 minutes if you don't die in the process and have economy to support it. So he is going to put down his Spire here. And last is simply just going to be making Hellbats. Is that what they're called? Yeah, Hellbats and tanks. So that's the new mech style, which I kind of like, but there's a little bit of a fault to it, and that is Hellbats, unlike Thor's, which used to be the bulk of the mech army in terms of meat shield, cannot attack air. So it makes Mutalisks a little bit more viable.
And they're very slow, and I mean, you got to transform them. You can't keep them as Hellbats. You got to keep them as Hellions for a while until you need them.
Yeah.
Or else your army's just not mobile enough.
So, see, what Life does, which makes him so good. I mean, we should do a VOD on the answering the question, why is Life so good? Fast hands, alcohol, and Koreanism.
I don't think he drinks.
No, I was just making a joke about, you suck. Anyway, so the reason why he's so good is he attacks the third here.
He doesn't lose any drones, though. I guess that still sucks, but...
Yeah, he loses a lot. He's going to lose the base, I think. Or at least he should. But anyways, here comes the mutas and save the day. And this is very similar to in Wings of Liberty if they don't do Thors. They build an army that's so ground-based as mech that completely obliterates roaches, but it is very susceptible to mutas.
But look what Last sacrifice for that base. Like, he just got rid of a shitload of army value.
Yeah, Life actually has a supply lead. So at this point, Life's plan kind of works out. See, if you were to go the Tier 3 route, you can't afford to lose that base, and most likely he would probably be defending a fourth base if you do decide to go Swarm Host into Tier 3. So Life is playing this extremely scrappy, and it's working really, really well. As you can see, there were no turrets in the second base. He was thrown completely off guard because the Mutatech was so late. And this is one questionable decision that a lot of people thought that what he's doing here was a bad thing, but the reason why I like this is because he knows two main things right now. He knows the number of Thors that his opponent has, and he knows 100% that the third base is not mining. So even though it looks bad to lose all these mutas just for a few workers, you have to understand that mutas at this point, when you have an economic lead and you know the Terran player doesn't have that scary third base that makes mech almost unstoppable, is mutas really just cost gas. So you can actually hypothetically keep making them over and over again, because the depletion of a base, like the prolonging of a base, depletes the minerals first. So he's still going to be on 6 gas, and if he takes an additional base, he's going to be on 2 more gas ahead of that. So
And look at the
economic
work,
lead, economic lead by far. He should have done what he did, and it was really smart.
So you thought losing those mutas was as big of a deal as he taking that massive economic advantage?
Okay, so what life should do here, what you should know about going mutas against mech is they're not obviously fighting units, so you should avoid trying to fight it straight up. So this is why life is going to continue to do these run-bys. Even when he decides to kill off some of the players' forces, he will never actually engage the entire force. Like, this is a mistake by life, but as you can see, this is small chipping away of the Zerg player, just taking, fighting half of the army or a third of the army over and over again. So he's able to pull the Thors there to the third base, so he knows he can attack the mutas, kills off the racks in the middle. Just everything going really well. And don't forget, you don't have to attack in the same location at once when you have mutas and roaches. You can always split them. And that's basically what he's doing. See, he's trying to poke into the third base. His mutas are not there because he wants to attack in more than one place at once. And look at that. He's even splitting his ground army, which is so good. And that's going to make the whole entire slow mech army go back there. So.
And then it renders his third basically useless. So, I mean, this game's pretty much over already.
Yeah. And once again, see, it looks like roaches are really good against mech in this position, but you have to understand that he was caught off guard. Like, the sniping of that Thor would be extremely difficult if the Hellbats were in front, so be very mindful of that if you do decide to play shittier Tier 2 units against mech, because mech in position will always beat you.
Now, given that the game has changed a little bit with HOTS, what do you think is the best way to fight mech at Tier 3? Still Broodlords, or do you like the Roach Hydra swarm?
It really does depend, because it's all about where you want to put your gas, and it really depends on where he puts his gas. So the higher the tank count, Broodlords is still going to be the #1 choice. Terran didn't get anything that made them invincible against Broodlords, but if you do a ground-based army with even Hydralisks and Roaches, and you have Viper support, and the majority of his army, for example, is Thors. You remember in Wings of Liberty, if he gets that ridiculous optimal count of Thors and they're fully upgraded 333, it seems like even mass Broodlords had a hard time killing that off, because they could literally one-shot a Broodlord.
Yeah, you had to have like fucking 50 queens transfusing your shit.
Yeah. And that was because when Thors reached that optimal number with full upgrades, they basically were like tanks, in that if you engage them and they were all in range of firing something, they really would just kill anything that Zerg made, except for Banelings. They'd both blow up. But so the Viper basically takes that away, right? You can attack 1 or 2 at a time, and Thors probably won't even kill a single thing if they're pulled towards Roaches and anything in the back. So I would experiment with Broodlords and Vipers. But yeah, don't forget Broodlords in this matchup. I mean, they're pretty worthless against Protoss because of the new air units, but don't leave Broodlords out in this matchup. They're pretty good in ZvT.
Okay, beautiful. Why don't we end off episode, what is this, episode 27 or 28 or what?
I think it's 27.
Episode 27, Game 1 out. Let me check.
Are we still streaming and you're checking?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Good one.
This is episode 28, Game 1. We'll see you back for Game 2.
Bye!